morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. Thank you all for joining us in person and also online. My name is Tomoko Rosas and I'm a practitioner here at this beautiful center. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of the mind. So before we get started, I have a few announcements. First of all, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Okay, anybody not wearing green? And thank you everyone for attending the astrology workshop last Sunday. It was so wonderful. Big thank you to Reverend Karen for a wonderful workshop. Make a note, please. Many more workshops are coming in and it's in the pipeline, so please stay tuned. And next week, we have special guest speaker and music by Jamie Lula. If you don't know who Jamie Lula is, just Google jamielula.com and you'll find all kinds of music and information on him. So that is next Sunday, which is Palm Sunday. Be sure to join us for our beautiful Easter service. That's going to be the following Sunday, which is on the 31st, with Reverend Bill speaking and Beverly as our soloist that day. Easter crafts are going to be available for junior church, and Easter affirmation eggs with surprise inside the eggs are for everyone that attends. And of course, we always have Easter treats, so please join us for that. And 3 lucky people will go home with an Easter lily. Yeah, sounds like an idea, right? Wow, I'm talking about April already. New Member Sunday is scheduled on Sunday, the 14th of April. So if you're thinking about joining us as a member, please talk to Sally. We're calling out for raffle gifts and prizes for our fundraising efforts for throughout this year. And we do have a bingo coming up, and then we'll have a raffle at the time as well. That's going to be in May, and more information will follow on that. Our Wednesday group, the support group, is dark this week. We will resume the week after. We're at our retreat with the Hogue Spiritual Conference this Wednesday. And looking ahead, lunch and paint with Karen Thomas, and the sign-up sheet is already at the welcome table. That's going to be April 28th. And our Unexpected Income Club is doing great. Thank you all for joining us for that. All right, and I'm going to pass it on to Tommy.
To be still, let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. When this whole world starts to push and shove me, be still, let God love me.
Please join me now in our invocation of the living Spirit God, our Creator. We are the creation, and we are creating right now, right here, in this beautiful room. We're celebrating the creative energy and the everlasting love in this universe. And we're so grateful for all the blessings that we share today. There are blessings for each one here, and all those who are sharing with us virtually. We have the beautiful music from Tommy. We appreciate our faithful ushers and greeters. There are blessings for our wise board of trustees and our dedicated, prayerful practitioners. Blessings for our children and their teachers. We are so blessed today to have our girl here with us, giving us an inspiring message, full of love. I know this service is perfect, just as it must be, and so it is. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day. Our reading today is from a book about women's wisdom, stories for a woman's heart. This was written by Mary Hampton. She says, "One afternoon when I was about 18 years old, I left our house and walked the 4 blocks to the downtown area, hoping to find someone or something to lift my spirits. I came across a friend who was working in a shop, and it sounded like her day was even worse than mine. As I walked on, though, I passed an open-air flower stand with some of the season's first daffodils. Their cheerful sunniness stood out in dramatic contrast to that drippy gray of the streets and skies. So I purchased some, knowing they would brighten up my room at home. On my way home, I stopped and gave a couple of them to my friend, hoping to cheer her up. A little bit farther along on my route, I encountered a light-hearted street person who commented on the flowers. So I gave him some too. At the last corner before my house, there was a shop that I passed almost every day on my way to and from school. My path often crossed a man who worked there, his big, booming voice a disconcerting contrast to the disabled body in his wheelchair. His greeting was always so warm and so friendly, but I was intimidated, and I usually kept my response brief as I hurried on my way. But on this day, my feet took over, and I walked right past the crosswalk into that little shop before I had a chance to stop my feet. Walked up to the counter and thrust the rest of the daffodils at him, saying, "These are for you, because daffodils are cheerful, and you're always cheerful." Still in disbelief at what I'd done, I turned and left before he had an opportunity to respond. Well, I walked home the remaining block a different person, even though I went without the flowers I had purchased to cheer me up. The sunshine that came from my heart illuminated my path as though the sun itself had broken through the clouds. That simple act of giving away something that I wanted changed me. I was no longer intimidated by the man in the shop in the corner. I had seen a glimmer that I could be a giving person. Now just join me in an Irish blessing. May love and laughter light your days and warm your heart and home. May good and faithful friends be yours wherever you may roam. May peace and plenty bless your world with joy that long endures. And may all life's passing seasons bring the best to you and yours. And so it is.
You are the heart, you are the hands, am the heart, I am the hand, I am the voice, spirit on earth, and who I am, and all I do is a blessing to the world. Sing it with me. We are the hearts. We are the heart. We are the hand. We are the voice of spirit on earth. And who we are and all we do is a blessing to the world.
That's Tommy Cosentino, the heart, the hands, and the voice of the music here. That always puts us exactly where we want to be on a Sunday morning. True?
Yes.
Yeah. So, did everybody get their affirmation? Mine is, all people in my world are beginning to awaken to their own capacities to love. You know why? Because we have the power. We have the power. So it is happy St. Patrick's Day. No pranks this morning, please. At least until after we eat something. Also, coming Tuesday is the spring equinox. Already. We love the spring equinox because, as somebody said, that's kind of like the promise that the days are not going to keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter until they just disappear. That's that point where they begin to get a little bit longer all the time. Now I know there's certain parts of the world that's not particularly true, but we don't live in that part of the world. So for us, the spring equinox is saying, goodbye darkness, hello more and more light. So the title of today's talk is Power Misunderstood. Sometimes it's misused, sometimes it's not acknowledged, sometimes it runs rampant, sometimes it's just not understood. Look at all the different types of power that we have. I mean, we've got solar power, we've got wind power, hydroelectric power, physical power, all kinds of power, yeah. Mental power, emotional power, intellectual power. And yet, all of these things are not powers in and of themselves. They're simply the way that that one power of that creative consciousness from which all things come is being directed at any given time. And when they're directed in those mechanical laws that are on a par with the spiritual laws, because they never vary, spiritual law, like mechanical law, works the same time, the same way for everybody, every place, every time. You know, something I almost forgot. If you were here last Sunday for Reverend Karen Ballesteri's zodiac sign, that's what I got from it. I was born under, I'm not going to tell you what sign I was born under, but we're all born under one of the dozen different signs. Yet, speaking of sub-powers, I want you to know that all of those signs are under the main sign that we're all born under, That's the exit sign. Not to worry. I mean, we all know that all physical things have a shelf life, yeah? But we just do need to understand, you know, Mark Twain said, the two most important days in a person's life, if you own a boat, I'm not talking about the day you buy it and the day you sell it, okay? Mark Twain was talking about the two most important days in a person's life, the day he or she is born, and the day he or she discovers what his or her purpose is. And the day we discover that is the day we simultaneously, if we have not up until that point, discover that ability we have to use this power that our Creator has provided for us. The Word moved upon the waters. Remember that? The Word moved upon the waters. The Word is God. Consequently, God is I am. The Word is I am. I am moved across the waters. Waters representing consciousness, that eternal infinite consciousness, that which we are all immersed in and are built from and is totally and completely within us at all times. The I am moved across that consciousness, and from seeming nothingness, okay, and we know there's no such thing as nothing, but from the invisible to the visible, things began to manifest in the world. It's all because of that power that that principle of life has, that principle that tells us about our shelf life, but at the same time tells us that world without end. Remember that? World without end. Amen. And I think we need to understand that world does not mean the planet Earth. World means everything in creation, everywhere, all the time, forever, without end. We get a little nervous thinking about when we're going to shuffle off. But on the other hand, there's going to be a time when this planet shuffles off. There's going to be a time when this universe no longer exists. What does that portend for us? Nothing. Not a single thing. Because we are creations of that consciousness. Oh, I know for many, 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 many thousands of years we've tried to create a God in the image of man. How'd that work out for us? No. But we are created in the image and likeness of God, meaning that our life, that principle that beats through us, that life that courses through our being, is forever and always. It's eternal, it's infinite. It just comes in different forms and shapes and sizes, like everything else. So, what about that power? We are immersed in this tremendous, this unbelievable, absolute power. And we get to individualize it. It's not our power. And so when we talk about our power, we're just being delusional. When we talk about the way we individualize that infinite power, the way we direct it, the way we use it for the good of ourselves and our people and our world, now we're talking some sense. And we do get to use that. You know, they say that you can never plumb the individual soul. You can never plumb the individual mind. And it's true. Because there's no such thing as the individual soul or the individual mind. We say, I got to make up my mind. Well, okay. That's just a short version of saying, I got to make up that use of the universal mind that I'm using right now. And that's the avenue to the power. What happens when we are confronted with a situation and we just absolutely try everything in the world. We go to all our friends, we go online, we read all the books, we go to our guru, we go to our minister, we go to, I don't know, the homeless guy down in Laguna Beach giving directions. Ooh, I guess that's dating myself. But we go everywhere looking for these answers, and the only place the answer ever is, ever can be, ever is going to be is right here. If I can't find the answer within myself, I can't find the answer. And the answer is always the same. When we get to that place where we just absolutely are at our wits' end, another place where God resides, by the way, at our wits' ends. When we get there, what do? We just say something to the effect of what I call a misinterpretation of thy will be done. But we just throw our hands up and say, oh, that's it. Go ahead. Whatever the will of God is going to happen to me. But surprisingly, as soon as we say that, things either instantly clear up or they begin to clear up because we've just at that moment got ourselves out of the way. Got our misinterpretations or misunderstanding of power, we got it out of the way. And we allowed that divine consciousness that directs us to allow us to direct things has taken over. Wow, what a great feeling that is. So the only misunderstanding of power, the only, as if it's not something big, the only misunderstanding of power is thinking that the power is us. The power is not us. The power is flowing through us. It's flowing through us and it's coming out into the world in such a fashion as to make a difference, to help us find our purpose. And our purpose is to direct that divine power such that it makes life as beautiful as it can possibly be for us at all times. So, here's the problem that I see sometimes, because don't we say, we talk in terms of religious power, right? Religious power. I think something that's been going on is this idea that for so many, for a couple of thousand years, so many thousands, maybe millions of people want to worship the way that Jesus, the master teacher, lived. He never said to worship his way of life. What did he say? Do this way of life. So we got religion on one hand that says, you know, we should worship this. And we've got the real McCoy on the other hand saying, you should be doing this. Because if you're doing this rather than just thinking about it, isn't that an escape? Isn't that a free pass? Get out of jail free. Just blame it on, oh, well, something went sideways. Not standing up and taking the responsibility, saying, you know what? I'm not living that life that the master teacher directed me to live, suggested I live. I'm not modeling that. What I'm doing is talking about it and putting it on a pedestal as if there's no possibility of me ever being able to achieve that, of me ever being able to rise to that occasion. Yet within us is the only power, the only consciousness. Within us is the consciousness of God. With that going for us, how can we ever think that we're going to be not enough for a situation? How can we ever think that we can't live that life that was modeled for us on purpose so that we could live a way better life? But I get away from myself. In his essay, The Oversoul, Ralph Waldo Emerson, said this: man is a stream whose source is hidden. Always our being is descending into us from we not know whence. That's the power. That's the power. It's not starting here. It's only being directed through here. The power is the power of the universe. It's that infinite power of the life principle that knows only to create and create and create and create, never stopping, never slowing down, always in the act of creation. And it's we who get to direct, in many instances, how that creation takes form. We're going from the invisible, they say, to the visible. Well, we're going from the formless. We're going to the formless into form. The formless is that consciousness. And as soon as we move that word upon those waters, upon that consciousness, we are going to manifest something real, something physical, something right here, right now, that we can put our hands on. He goes on to say, yeah, I'm pretty hesitant to break this to us because, well, it's kind of harsh. He says, what we commonly call man, ladies, that doesn't let you out. That was just the way they spoke in this day. What we commonly call man, the eating, drinking, planting, counting man, does not, as we know him, represent himself, but misrepresents himself. Him we do not respect, but the soul, whose organ he is, would let it appear through his action, would he let it appear through his action, would take us to our very knees. That power that we get to wield, that power that directs through us, that power that we have an individualized use of is so strong and so potent and so powerful. If we did see it all at one time, and what have the mystics told us? It'd just knock us out. It would be so hard to apprehend, so hard to comprehend, so hard to get our heads around. How would we ever manage to do that? We use this word involution, right? Involution, evolution, words we use. Involution is us accepting that. It's coming to us anyway. I've got to do one more quote before I go on with this because I really like this. It's from Emerson also. And he says in his essay, Spiritual Laws, a man is a method, a progressive arrangement, a selecting principle. Boy, we're a lot, huh? Gathering is like to him wherever he goes. He takes only his own out of the multiplicity that sweeps in circles around him. There is stuff going on around us all the time. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's something like we take into our consciousness, I don't know, like 0.0001 of all the stuff that's going on around us in the world. I mean, we don't get to have it all. It's all just flying by. We just funnel into us something along the lines of the law of attraction. We allow to come into our consciousness, our mind does, that which is similar to what we think already. Do we get that? Oh, sure, sometimes something will come along and we see the light. Bang, that's right. Why didn't I know that before? Why didn't I think of that before? But generally, too many of us lean toward that, well, that Missouri attitude, right? You got to show me. No. No. He also made, Emerson, he made this reference to the fact that somebody comes pounding on my door, I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to pay attention to whatever it is he or she is saying. Meanwhile, out on the street behind them, thousands of people are going by all the time, and I don't listen to a thing that they have to say because that's got my attention. And the reverse of that is also true. What we allow to get our attention is what we allow to form our intention, and what we allow to come through us out into the world. And we have to be therefore very careful about the power that we give it. We can't misunderstand that power. The power to do all things is not out there. It's not out there somewhere. Your spouse doesn't have the power. Your neighbor doesn't have the power. The government doesn't have the power. Your religious leaders don't have the power. The masses don't have the power. Do they, each of them, have that amount of power that they can direct things around there in your life? Absolutely. That's the world. That's just how it is in the world. I'm talking about going way, way deeper than that and just asserting that none of that is anywhere near as powerful as that power of creation that works in, as, and through me at all times, because I can use it to say, wait a minute, all those little things going on, off with you. Off with you right now. Because I understand power. I understand that all what we call power comes from that one source, from that one power, and none of it is as powerful as that. All these little powers we have are things that help us navigate this planet, navigate this world, navigate the daily life that we live. None of it has anything to do with controlling my life, as in my life principle, as in that essence of who I am, as in that divine person, being that I am within this shell I'm going to call Bill. If I misunderstand that power, I will let other people affect me to the very core. If I don't misunderstand it, if I know and know that God is the power that directs me, everything else is kind of superfluous. It just falls by the wayside. That spiritual power is my inner strength. It's what allows me to do anything, let alone everything. It's that inner strength. That's power understood, not misunderstood. So where I had started to go with that is this. Involution comes in two forms. Involution is things coming into our inner being from sources in the world outside that we have not yet recognized and controlled, as in our grooming, our conditioning, our being led up in such a fashion in culture. And it comes the other way as conscious acceptance. Okay? In other words, we don't have to think the thoughts that lead us to the situation where that one power has created something in our lives we don't want. We get to choose our thoughts. So I know you're saying, well, wait a minute, on the one hand, you're talking about conditioning and culture. The other hand, you're talking about being able to choose that. This doesn't fit. Well, it only fits in this manner. When I look out onto my world and I see something that I don't want to have there, I know it's there because somewhere in my subconscious has been that seed planted. And it has grown. Can I go back and unplant that seed? No, it's already there. But what I can do is I can plant a new seed, more powerful, to take its place, and I can do that consciously. So if I have a little bit of fear about something, am I going to fight that fear? Am I going to sit down and argue with myself and say, no, you're not afraid? What do you mean, no, you're not afraid? Of course I'm afraid. I wouldn't be in this situation. No, but I do walk to the mirror and I look in it and I say, wow, you have the power of God. You have the power of the universe at your beck and call. Get with it. Get this power and understand that it's the only power. None of this other stuff belongs to you. Paramahansa Yogananda, in his book, Where There Is Light, at least that's the book from the Self-Realization Fellowship, but they are Paramahansa Yogananda's very words. He said, always undoubtedly believe that God's power is working in you, just behind your thoughts, prayers, and convictions, to give infinite strength. Acknowledge His working within you in everything, and you will have Him always with you. The times that we get into trouble, the times when we misunderstand the power that's available to us, are the times when we forget that. The times that we allow that to drift out of our memory and we let something else take its place. And when we speak our word, and it's backed up by that divine creative intelligence, it absolutely cannot be held back. But we don't put the power in that word. God puts the power in that word. We're just directing it. The power is there. There's nothing that isn't filled with this power. It's just that when we funnel all that spirit down into these little tightly compacted hard bodies, we sometimes don't allow all the openings to that spirit to stay open. Sometimes we have reasons for closing it off, and our mind tells us things that just ain't so. You know, that was another Mark Twain saying, right? The problem with people is we just believe so many things that just ain't so. And we do. If we're going to believe something at all, why don't we believe in the only thing that makes sense? Why don't we believe in a creative intelligence that put us here totally and completely equipped for any occurrence, any occasion, able to handle anything that comes along? Why in the world would we default to something less than that? So back to this thing about your will, God, not mine, and how that gets misinterpreted, just like the power gets misinterpreted. To say thy will, not mine, doesn't mean that I'm just here to get kicked around if some sort of God that I have created in my image just determines that that's what I need at the moment. Like some sort of, I don't know, some sort of overgrown parent that's trying to protect me from myself. That's not how it works. It's your will, and as soon as I align with the will of the life principle, all is going to be right. All is going to flow smoothly. All is going to go well. Emma Curtis Hopkins, in her book Spiritual Science, said this: when the human or mortal mind thinks about immortal mind, the immortal mind shines on it and through it. If we look toward this presence continually, we begin to look like it. Instead of giving it that image of ourselves, we stare at this life principle, embodying it, taking it into understanding, and not misunderstanding or misusing it. The mind looks at the presence and shines till every part and particle of the body are transfigured. And she goes on. Suppose you come to know that the substance of your voice, the substance of your glance, the substance of your touch is God. What other substance could it be? She doesn't say that, but that's implied. There's no other substance. We are only redirecting the power of God that's allowed to course into, that we become aware of, into our bodies. Then the power of God will be exposed by your saying so. Everything you do will have a healing quality based on what you've said, believing it to be so. So we should not misunderstand this power. Here's how it is. In spite of what we've been taught. If we could just wipe out the last 2,000 years of our existence, well, in most of our cases, a little bit less time than that. But if we could just go back to that demonstration, to that modeling, to that not playing any word games here, not parsing stuff, just telling you how it is, you have the power. I have the power. Let's just use it. And forget about all these other little things that we kind of build up as blocks against it. Don't we just love to build little things up? Don't we just love to create little problems in our lives? Oh, absolutely. But when those little problems turn into big problems and we're wondering what to do, and it doesn't look like there's any hope, there's no way out, what do? Please, God, help me out. Get me through this. And of course, for so many people, that's followed by, and if you do, I promise. But it's not a bartering thing. It's not a begging thing. You know, we're not the prodigal son. We're more like the Father. The Father who says, wow, welcome back. You have never left my heart, my mind, my soul. You have never not shined your light on me from wherever you are. Because you have that kind of power. And let's just take a moment and go within and realize that that sort of power is the power that we were born with. It's the power we were created with and for. It's the power that we were created in order to have it work through us. That's God's way of knowing God. We are the eyes, we are the ears, we are the hands, as Tommy was singing about, of God. We are the ones that bring life, expression into this life that has been created for us. And it's just with thankful heart I say, thank you, God, for this opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to wield that power. Thank you for allowing me to be aware of that power, to know that I can direct it for as much good as I possibly want. So it's with that heart full of gratitude for this awareness, I just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I let it go, knowing it is already so. And together we say, and so it is. So this is our opportunity to show our support, which we all do so well, knowing that all of our good comes from that one source, God, and for this we are grateful. Thank you for your continued support, financial and otherwise. And for those of you not in the sanctuary or currently, thank you for your support from a distance. Let's just know that we've blessed these gifts, these tithes, these offerings, knowing they are given from the central core of who we are, which is God made manifest on this plane. We send them forth to do their good work in this world with no strings, no conditions, and so it is.
I've been planting seeds on the ground, watering them with my sweat and tears, scattering them all around. Guess that's what I'm supposed to do with my years. Funny thing is I may know what I planted, but will never show. Always seem to be a perfect mystery. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. Sometimes I still like to pretend I know what the harvest will be, but I always find out really up to me. Funny thing is when I just do my work and simply trust, always seems that life is looking out for me. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. I'm the only one of billions of seeds. When all is said and done, I just do what's mine to do and let it be. Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, planting seeds, I am planting seeds and nothing more.
Thank you. We're always planting seeds, aren't we? Because our thoughts are seeds. And we're always planting. So, let's just know this together. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called power.
It's this thing called power
That I understand.
that I understand
And I use for good.
and I use for good.
Thank you, God, in me